The world as we know it is undergoing a silent transformation that most people are completely missing. We are currently witnessing the end of an era for the old guard in technology, politics, and global diplomacy. While the headlines focus on daily market fluctuation, the real story is happening behind closed doors in Cupertino, Budapest, and Moscow. For over a decade, certain figures have seemed immovable, yet in just the last few days, the foundations of their power have crumbled. From the sudden succession at most valuable company on earth to the historic collapse of a European regime, the rules of the game are being rewritten. I have gathered insider details on how the shifts will impact our future, your privacy, and the global economy. We're moving from a world of predictable diplomacy to a high-stake gamble where personal loyalty and cold pragmatism are the only currencies that matter. Pay close attention because the details I'm about to share reveal a strategic shift that will define the next decade of our lives. I'm here to guide you through this complex layer of global influence. My goal is to provide you with the facts and insights that traditional news outlets often gloss over. We're going to look at specific names, the secret meetings, and the financial motives driving these changes. If you value deep analysis and want to stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly changing landscape, please take a moment to support this channel. It only takes a second to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Your engagement allows me to continue bringing you these exclusive deep dives into the world of business and high-stake geopolitics. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a breakdown of the events that are shaping our modern world. So I'm Blondie War, and let us look into the first major shift involving the future of the technology giant we're all carrying in our pockets. Apple is preparing for its most significant leadership change since Tim Cook took over from Steve Jobs. After 15 years at the helm, the 65-year-old Tim Cook is stepping down, making way for 51-year-old John Ternus. I want you to understand who Ternus is because his approach will change the devices we use every day. He joined the firm 25 years ago and currently serves as the Vice President of Hardware Engineering. He is widely described as a true product guy who likes to be hands-on with development teams. This is a sharp contrast to Tim Cook, who was primarily known as an operations expert. However, the timing of the move is critical. Apple is facing a massive challenge with artificial intelligence. While competitors like Google and Microsoft have spent billions on proprietary systems, Apple has taken a defensive strategy. They recently chose to partner with OpenAI and Google to integrate ChatGPT and their Gemini into their operating system instead of building their own from scratch. John Ternus must now navigate what many experts believe is an AI bubble. Sudana Streeter, a chief investment strategist at Wealth Club, suggests that Ternus will continue this cautious approach to avoid overdeveloping capital. But the challenges do not stop at software. Apple is still struggling to dismantle its supply chain from China despite the ongoing geopolitical clash. Even though Tim Cook maintained a carefully neutral political stance, even donating to Donald Trump's inauguration fund and gifting him a statue with a 24-karat gold base, the company remains vulnerable to tariffs. Ternus will also have to decide if Apple will pivot toward robotics. As AI moves from screen to physical embodiment, rumors are circulating about Apple developing humanoid hardware. Ternus is known for being polite and steady, much like Cook, but he will need more than just a calm demeanor to handle a US president who is notoriously fickle and emotive than is hungry for the next big revolution after the Vision Pro failed to gain mass market traction. While Apple restructures in California, a political earthquake has just leveled on the old order in Europe. After 16 years of continuous rule, Viktor Orban and his Fidesz party have been defeated. This is a historic moment for the European Union. Just 9 days after the election, the European Court of Justice issued an unprecedented rule against Hungary's anti-LGBTQ laws. These laws, introduced in 2021, bans the so-called promotion of homosexuality to minors and were used to suppress public events like the Budapest Pride March. The court ruled that these reforms violated Article 2 of the UA Treaty, which outlines the fundamental values of equality and human rights. This is the first time the court has found a member state in breach of the very spirit of the Union's legal order. Professor John Morgan from the University of Groningen points out that since ruling means the rights of citizens are no longer up to negotiation. The man who orchestrated this victory is Peter Magyar and his Tisza party. Magyar has secured a 2/3 majority, holding 141 seats in the 199-seat National Assembly. Unlike Orban, Magyar is promising a pro-European approach. This is not just about the social values, it is about billions of euros. The EU had blocked the massive fund in Hungary to the concert over the rule of law. The shift proved that even the most entrenched leaders can fall when they alienate their international partners and their own youth. The legal implications are huge. This ruling sets a precedent that the European Commission can now use to hold other member states accountable for violating the core values of pluralism and freedom of expression. The most unsettling shift is happening in the sphere of international conflict. President Volodymyr Zelensky recently expressed his deep frustration with the United States regarding the ongoing ceasefire talks. The core of the issue involves two key figures: Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's special envoy, and Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law. Since late 2025, Witkoff has traveled to Moscow 8 times to meet with Vladimir Putin. However, neither he nor Kushner has made a single official visit to Kyiv. Zelensky has publicly called this behavior disrespectful. It sends a clear signal that the new administration is prioritizing direct communication with the Kremlin over the concerns of its allies in Ukraine. While ceasefire talks gain pace last autumn, the term being discussed appear increasingly unfavorable for Kyiv. The situation is complicated by the widening conflict in the Middle East. As the US focuses on the kinetic events between Israel and Iran, attention has shifted away from the war in Ukraine, which has now raged for over 4 years. In February, Moscow and Kyiv reportedly reached some agreements on military issues such as the front line location, but the status on the Donbas region remains a dead end. Russia is demanding sovereign Ukrainian territory and a regime change in Kyiv. Meanwhile, the tragedy on the ground continues. Just last week, Russia launched over 700 drones and missiles in a single night, hitting infrastructure and loss of lives. Ukraine has responded by striking Russian oil terminals, knocking out 20% of Russia's export capacity. Despite this, Russia's oil revenue has actually increased due to the energy crisis caused by the conflict in Iran. Kirill Budanov, Zelensky's chief of staff, has warned that if a compromise isn't found, both sides will continue to destroy each other with professional efficiency. This is the cold reality of 2026. Traditional alliances are being bypassed for high-stake personal diplomacy. We're seeing a pattern where the elite are making decisions that bypass the public and even entire governments, whether it is Apple's secret succession, Hungary's sudden political pivot, or the back-channel negotiations in Moscow. The world is becoming more opaque. I want to hear your thoughts from you on this. Do you think John Ternus has what it takes to lead Apple through the AI revolution? Or is the company's cautious strategy a sign of decline? And what do you make of the US envoys visiting Moscow while ignoring Kyiv? Is this a pragmatic path to peace or a dangerous betrayal or an ally? Write your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them and I'm curious to see your perspective on every single point and shift. Thank you for staying with me through the deep dive. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the corporate boardrooms of Silicon Valley to the legislative halls of Budapest and the war rooms in Eastern Europe. The common thread is clear: the old ways of doing business and conducting diplomacy country are falling. New leaders like John Ternus and Peter Magyar are stepping into a world that is more volatile and less forgiving than the one they admitted managing. We are living through a high-stake gamble where every move has a global impact. I will continue to monitor these developments, these events, and bring you the facts that really matter. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss our next update or the geopolitical and economic trends of 2026. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and I'll see you in my next videos.